Today I'll tell you about a new project which is serverless web application on AWS. So basically, uh, the thing which we will be doing is that we are going to be integrating a sample web page in which we are going to be counting the number of views that the web page is being getting. So we have a sample code here. I'll show you the sample code so that it gives you an idea about it. So So basically, this is the kind of sample page. This is the greetings app in which here after the views, every time you reload the page, the views is gonna keep on increasing and increasing. So the number of views the website will get is what we are gonna be counting. So after that, how we are gonna be doing is this is the sample HTML page. Right now, the views and nothing is being integrated. So if you write like here Pratyaksh and you submit it, then you'll see here, you'll see that hello Pratyaksh is being kind of is greeting you. So basically, what we are gonna do is we are gonna count the views dynamically. Every time you reload, we are gonna be counting the views. Then we are gonna be storing it in a DynamoDB table. And now once this is the thing, so basically all the file locations and everything will be in the S3 bucket. So all the code files will be in the S3 bucket. After that, we are going to be implementing a cloud front just to distribute to all edge locations. All the edge locations, by that I mean that every time you visit your URL of your website, the latency will be very less just because of the CloudFront. And since the CloudFront is a cloud distributing network, so we are gonna be distributing all the uh, basically we are gonna distributing it to edge locations, and after that we are gonna be integrating it with Route 53 and all the and this is the basically the deploying of the app. Now the Lambda and DynamoDB is basically we are gonna be storing all the database of the app is basically in the DynamoDB table. And basically how we are going to be saving it in a DynamoDB table is we are going to trigger a lambda every time the site gets refreshed. We're going to trigger a lambda to store the views count in the DynamoDB table. So this is the basically whole architecture of the project. So the first thing we're going to start is first thing first, we're going to create a S3 bucket. After that, I'll show you the code. So here is the index.html code. It's basically a simple HTML code which says greeting app, and after that it is gonna be counting the views. And there's a submit button which after you write your name, so it will be greeting you. Like if you write hello Pratyaksh, so it will be telling you hello Pratyaksh. So that's just a greeting for you. And after that, we are gonna firstly this is just the HTML page, this is the style CSS. And for the JavaScript, we have integrated to calculate the number of views which will trigger the lambda function. We have integrated a JavaScript function. In the JavaScript function we have used a counter. What the counter is gonna do is it is gonna be fetching the number of views. So basically how it is fetching is basically in the backend the counter function is basically every time you reload the page or every time you come out on the URL of the page, the views is gonna be keep on getting increased, and that is how. And this is basically a lambda functions demo lambda ARN. So basically I'll start and build the project from scratch. So this is just the basic layout of the app. This is the HTML code for the app. Now I'll just start the project. So first thing, uh, we're gonna be creating a S3 bucket. So right now I have already created a S3 bucket. So this is my bucket which is by the name of Web-serverless AWS. And now inside once I've made the bucket, this bucket is basically I've made it in Northern Virginia region of United States. After that, I have added all the code files in this. So basically all the code files, what I meant is I have added index.html in it, script.js and style CSS. So all the code files that the S3 bucket will be having is what I have stored in it. So this is the basic thing that we have to do for the S3 bucket. After that, there's this cloud Now, once you have created the S3 bucket and once you have added the code files in it, the S3 bucket work is completely done. Now, the next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna be integrating a CloudFront CDN network. So basically, I'll show you. So this is the CDN network that I have created earlier. I'll just delete this, and this was for the testing purposes. I'll create another CDN network, and origin is what you could see that from where it is going, where it is gonna be fetching the files from is basically the origin. So origin right now is our S3 bucket, which is web serverless AWS S3 bucket. Now the name of the CDN network is this. Now for the origin access, either you can have the bucket as a public access bucket, but then anyone could have the code files from your bucket since it is publicly accessible. So to control that, we could have a original access control settings. What it is recommended by AWS only. So by this, what will happen is basically only the CloudFront service is gonna principal service is gonna be having the access to your bucket. So we are gonna create a new origin access control, and the origin type where here we have written as S3. So basically this is what we are gonna be creating a S3 bucket. So I'll already created one. So dash one. So I've created it. So now you could see dash one is what we have created. Web serverless AWS US East one. Amazon AWS.com dash one. So this is what we have created origin access control as of now. Once you click on it, and after that you could see there's nothing else you have to do basically. Everything else for the CDN you have to keep it default. For this web application firewall, either you could do it enable, or you could uh, basically you could enable it or you could disable it. That's up to you. That's up to your requirements. After the requirements, here you could see use all edge locations. By all edge locations means every edge location that this CDN network will have, the URL will be distributed to all the edge locations, and when you try to access it, the latency will already be, it will be accessed to you with a low latency, so that you could have a faster network and faster availability of everything. So this is what it is, and after that everything else is basically by default whatever AWS has provided us. And now I'm gonna be creating a CDN network. So once you have created a CDN network, it says that it doesn't have the permission to access the S3 bucket as of now. So it is going to be providing us with the default policy permissions. So right now you could see there the S3 bucket needs to be updated. So we're going to be copying the policy from here and we'll go back to our S3 bucket. So I'll go back to the S3 bucket. So this is my S3 bucket. Now the cloud, firstly, the CDN network is gonna be taking 5 or 10 minutes to build. So by that time, I'll update my S3 bucket policy. I'll go to S3 bucket. I'll go to permissions, and here is the S3 bucket policy. This is a different S3 bucket policy. So I'll edit it, and I'll edit this policy, and I'll just copy and I've copied it and I have pasted it. So what the policy says as of now is that this policy is for CloudFront private content. So what it means is it is allowing the CloudFront to access your get object from S3 bucket. By get object, I mean it can get the object from the S3 bucket. Get object as in get the code files, the index.html files that we have stored in S3 bucket. It can get it, and it can only be limited to CloudFront. That only the CloudFront when it needs, then only it is gonna be taking it. So we are gonna save the changes, and yeah, bucket policy is being changed. And here you could see, you could just close this and close this, and you could see on the distributions, this is the distribution that we have created. It is enabled, but the last modified it is that says that it is still deploying. So we're gonna wait till the time it is gonna get deployed. So till now what we have done is we have created a S3 bucket, stored our code files in it. Then we have created a CloudFront distribution network so that the basically the web page of or the web application could serve to every location in the country and with the low latency. That is why we have enabled a CloudFront with all the edge locations enabled. So now that we have enabled these two, now we are gonna creating a Route 53. So I personally have my own domain as of now to show you. I'll go to my domains, and I'll tell you this is my pratyakshproject.info. This is my own domain. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be integrating this domain with my project. And once this domain is integrated, so every time you go to this domain, you're gonna be getting the you're gonna be redirecting to the greetings app. So now this is our domain. So what we have to do is now we have to enable a route 53. So we have to create a hosted zone. So by domain, you could have your own domain either through route 53 or you could buy it from anywhere else. So now once we have created, now you have to come to route 53 and have already created a hosted zone, just because to create a hosted zone, it takes around 30-40 minutes to create a hosted zone if you have enabled so many things. So I've created it earlier only, so there's nothing that I have changed in this. So by default, when you create a hosted zone, or the hosted zone is by the same name as your domain, and once you have created this hosted zone, so these are the two types: name servers and SOA are the two types that are enabled by default. So right now I've taken my domain from GoDaddy. So all these traffics will be routed to godaddy.com. So I'm gonna be copying all these four name servers, and I have already did this. And in that, this is my project, this is my domain, and in that I'll go to the DNS, and in the name servers that you could see here, NS448, and all these four name servers I have added already. So I'll show you. Okay, so this is the NS448522, and here also you would see NS448522. So these are the four name servers that I have changed it in my from wherever you have bought your domain. So these are the these are the three things to integrate your route 53 and your personal domain with the project. So now what we have done is, now we have created a CloudFront network, and after that we have integrated a Route 53. Now basically the thing which is left as of now is that after going to the CloudFront, uh, it is still deploying basically. So we're gonna wait until it is deployed so that we could show you how we have edited all the things, how we have added. Now we have to add another record in the domain so that it could redirect it to the cloud distribution network, and the cloud distribution network could fetch the HTML files. So this is how the flow of the project will basically looks like. Okay, so now that you have, after that, once you have done all of these things, what the next thing that you have to do is you have to you have to let your CloudFront know that which is your index page. How will it know? So basically, to do that, you go to your CloudFront distribution, you go to origins, and in the not in the origins, you go to general only, and inside that you could see here default root object. So the default by default root object, what it means is default root object, that which is the default file that the CloudFront distribution will show to the users when they first come to your URL. So for that you edit it. Now we have the file name as index.html. So in the default root, in here I'll just edit the file and I'll add index.html. Now the second thing that you have to do is you have to add a let's just add this. You save the changes, and now the changes has been saved and it is gonna get deployed. So after this, you have to add one more thing, which is like a alternate domain name. So by what it means is, uh, right now the people could get you, since it's a greeting page, so I want that people to go to greetings.pratyakshproject.info. So that is how I want the people to get into access the site. So for that I'll add alternate domain name here. So I'll just add the alternate domain and I'll say greetings.pratyakshproject.info. I guess this is what my domain is, pratyakshproject.info. So I'll just add this pratyakshproject.info. So basically to add this, basically firstly, till now our URL is not secure. It's HTTP, it's not HTTPS. To make it HTTPS, we'll add a SSL certificate. So you could either have your own SSL certificate, or if you don't have it, you could request it to through ACM. So I'll have requested in, and here you could see in the Amazon certificate manager, we can request a certification, a public certification. I'll go to next. and I'll write here my domain name. So domain name I am writing as start dot pratyaksh project dot info. So basically what it means is everything that comes to pratyaksh project dot info is basically being is coming through a secure network. I'm gonna go and request. So once it is gonna be requesting it, this certificate manager is gonna be taking a few much like approx 10-15 minutes to get validated. So you could see here the certificate is issued, but it is not validated as of now. So the validation that we are gonna be waiting is we are going to be waiting till the certificate is validated. So once it is validated, we could use the certificate. So right now we're going to create a record in root 53, and the record is going to be uh, by the name of dot pratyaksh project info. So we're going to wait some time until this certification is validated. This certificate that we have issued as of now is validated. So you could see here there's this pending validation. So you could wait here and let it know that the certificate is validated, and we're gonna be waiting till then. Okay, so now that you could see here, I'll show you that the certificate that we have created was issued, and also we have created a record of this in root 53. So I'll show you root 53. So this is our route 53, and we have created a CNAME record in this, which says that that SSL certificate has been issued to this particular domain. So now that we have created this certificate, now we could go here and we could just write a greetings.certificate.com, and here you could see here that now that certificate is right now showing here. Now that we have added the certificate here, and everything else that you have to see is basically what you have to basically leave it as default. And now we have updated our CloudFront distribution. We have added greetings.pratyaksh project info and custom SSL certificate here and the root name. So right now you could see and check that the CDN is still deploying. It is still deploying because the CDN is basically taking all the edge locations around the globe. So that is why it is going to be taking some time. So once this is being done, I'll show you the things that you have to create. So basically, firstly, uh, okay. So now that you have created the certificate, what you have to do is you have to create a record. A record. I'll show you. This is a Route 53, and this is the hosted zone that you have created. This has three records as of now. Now we're gonna go and create a record. We're gonna create a record by greetings.pratyaksh.info, and after that we are gonna be creating an alias, and the endpoint is basically the CloudFront distribution network, and this is the distribution network that we have made as of now. So once we have done this, and we're gonna select this, and we're gonna create a CNAME record. So now that you could see here that there's this record that is being made here. Now you could go and see greetings dot pratyaksh project dot info, and you could search here. It might take some time to for the record to basically update here. So we're gonna wait some for some time, and then we're gonna see that the record is gonna be able to see. Okay, so now after waiting some time, you could see here, you could go and write greetings uh, dot pratyaksh project dot info, and you could see that we are successfully logged into our web page, and here you could write pratyaksh and send, and once you submit this, and you'll be able to see pratyaksh thing. So basically we have our code files in S3 bucket. We have a CDN network over it. Over it, we have our Route 53 network. So users are gonna be directing our to our domain name, and the domain is gonna be redirecting it to the through the CDN. It is gonna be redirecting us to the web server. So this is our web server. You keep on refreshing it, and you'll be able to see that the latency is very low. You will not be able to distinguish it, but once you see it, you'll like go and search this URL from some other place, then you'll be able to see that the uh, as of now the uh, latency is very low. You'll be able to access the web page from everywhere in the country because of the edge locations and the cloud distribution network. So once this is done, now you can see that the views as of now is not able to, you'll not able to see the views. So we haven't integrated it as of now. So for that, what you have to do is you basically have to uh, so I'll show you what we have done till now. What we have done till now is what basically we have let the users access our web server with route 53, which is over CloudFront, and the CloudFront is taking the index.html page, which is our web server, from the S3 bucket. So now we have to integrate a Lambda function in the DynamoDB table to store the database. Okay, so now that we have created and everything is working fine, and even our uh, domain name is working. So now we have to add this view count and everything. So for that, um, firstly we have to integrate a Lambda function which will store the data in DynamoDB, and also the Lambda URL ARN is what we are going to be integrating it to the JavaScript file, so that it is going to be taking the, I'll show you first. Let's create a Lambda function. Let's go and go to Lambda. Before Lambda, we are going to be creating a IAM role. Let's go to Lambda first. Create a function. We're going to create a function name web serverless Lambda. And for runtime, I'm gonna doing is Python 3.9, and the execution role, I'm gonna create an execution role. Go to IAM, go and let's create a role for Lambda. So we go to roles, we create a role, and this role is for Lambda. So basically what the Lambda is doing is it is basically having a Dynamo DB access. So this is what the Lambda is going. It is going to be going to the Dynamo DB table, and it is going to be creating a Dynamo, saving the data in the Dynamo DB table. So web serverless, serverless web app. Okay. Now we are going to create a role, and this role is created. I'll go to my Lambda function, uses existing role. We're going to refresh this, and serverless web app. This is the role, and we're going to create a Lambda function. Now Lambda function is created. You could see and go to the code. I'll show you. We have a Lambda code. What this code is basically this code is going to our table. This would be our table name, serverless web application on AWS. So this is our DynamoDB table name. And after that, what it is doing is it is gonna be creating a table, and inside the table it is firstly getting the item. So first is fetch item. It is going to create an id as 0, and after that views, basically it has to calculate views, number of views it is going to get. So what it is going to do is views, and whatever the response is going to take, and it is going to be incrementing the view after every response from the user. Now after that it is gonna print views. How it is gonna, once the views is printed, what it is gonna do is it is gonna table dot put item. Put item where? In the DynamoDB table. And in the DynamoDB table we have a partition key as ID and views. So views will be stored as views and partition. And this is a simple Lambda function code. Now copy this code, go to a Lambda function. This is as of now hello from Lambda. So you go to this function URL and you search this. Okay. Wait, it's not created yet. So you go here. You okay. Right now, if you integrate this lambda function, what it is going to do is it is going to say test dot. It is going to say that hello from lambda. But for that, uh, right now we have to go to our code. We're going to copy this code and paste this code. And now that this, once this code is being done, I'm going to test it. This code and okay. So this is our lambda function code and we have added the role to it. Now create a DB table. So we'll go here. We'll go to our DB table and we're gonna create a table. So basically, the table name that we have given was serverless web application on AWS. So let's just give this name only and we're gonna create a table. Partition case we're gonna give as ID and rest everything let's leave as default and let's create a table first. Now we'll wait until the table is being made. So once the table is being made, we are gonna add an item in it as of now, which says ID is 0 and view is 1. After that, we are gonna see how every time we go and give a response to our URL, the views dynamically keep on changing. So you could see right now this table is being created, and in this we're gonna explore table items, and we're gonna create an item. So right now you could see ID 0. We're gonna add a new attribute number, and here we could write views. VIEWS view, and we could say 1. So we are gonna create item. Now you could see the views as of now is 1. Now we're gonna go to a lambda function and we're gonna create the lambda function. Okay, so now that you have created your lambda, now that you have created your DynamoDB table, you could see we have created a DynamoDB table with ID 0 and views 0, 1. We're gonna create a lambda function. So let's go and create a lambda function. Web serverless less project. Runtime is gonna be Python 3.9. In the additional info, let's go and give this lambda function our role which we have created. So this is the role, serverless web app. After that, what we have to do is we're gonna go and okay, this is the serverless web app that we have created. Permission is done, Python runtime is done, and enable function URL is what we're gonna create a ticket, and what it is gonna do, it is gonna be giving us a function URL for which we could access the lambda and test it. So what we have done is and the authentication type we have done is none. So it won't have to authenticate every time we're gonna use the function URL. After that, configure cross-region resource sharing. We're gonna enable this and okay. So this is all. So this is it. What we are gonna do, and now we are gonna create our lambda function. So this is the function that we have created, and you could see here the function URL here it is showing. So right now it is saying hello from lambda. So we go and check it, and it says hello from lambda. So basically this is why we have enabled the function URL. So now we have our code here, and what we are going to do is we have a table in which we have a column as view. So we're going to go and add this code of a lambda function which says which is taking Boto, which is using Boto 3 to input the elements in DynamoDB. Now what we are going to do is now this is the function. Now we have saved this and okay, so this was it. So this is what we have saved the lambda function as. Now we are gonna go back and check itself web serverless project, and okay, we haven't deployed the changes yet. So we are updating this code, and now that we have deployed the code, now let's just test this code. Okay, let's just See, now I've deployed the code. Now you could see, uh, okay. So this was a Lambda function. This is deployed. Now also there was this thing inside this. Okay, inside the script, here is what we have, our Lambda URL. So in this, you could see https dot aws. So we are gonna copy this function URL and we are gonna paste it here. Um, we are gonna paste it here. So this is our function URL. Now the script is what we have to um, copy and paste it to our S3 bucket. So we go to our S3 bucket. Amazon S3. Go to our general purpose buckets. This is the bucket which we have created and we have edited the script.js file. Let's go and the script.js file, let's just drag this and replace this item in the script.js file. Now once you have done this, now you could go to the greetings.com. I'm hoping it might take some time to show the changes, but right now we could see that explore items. You refresh it. Okay, right now nothing is showing up. So it might take some time for this views to show up. We're gonna wait till then. Okay, so there's this thing. Now, when you go to your Lambda function and you go to test, you could see here in the DynamoDB table, right now the views is 6. Now you go to your Lambda, you test your Lambda function, and you could see right now the test is done, and then you go back to your lambda and you could see that the views is getting increased, and you could do this again, you test and you go and check it, you see that the views are getting increased. So in the backend you are able to see whenever your lambda function is getting triggered on every user response, the views are getting triggered and they are getting saved in your DynamoDB table. So this is the overall structure of the project of serverless web application, in which we are counting the number of views as per the user's response, and you could integrate it or you could do some other project similar like this, just how you did this project.